guys can see it as well as I can.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it's limited to this corner here. I guess if we did a quick measurement, just based on this one photo. And this is obviously not going to be super accurate, but just as a rough idea of how big that area is. That area there, which looks to me to be the area that was tiled, is only 35.6 acres.
Yeah. I would say that isn't far, yeah, so it's less than 80 acres.
Yeah, because you can definitely see the tile lines in there.
That's straight south.
So there wouldn't even be a permit on that particular parcel.
So no one that they wouldn't even have to tell me then, right? How much they
No. I think obviously what we're going to do is we're going to invite Mertz's and Weckerly and yourself to the next meeting. And we'll sit down and talk about that as well. And I think in the meantime, between now and the next meeting as well, I think we should, a couple of us will go out there, the area really well.
I know.
I'll go out there with you, and we'll go down there and we'll take a look at it. We'll call you. So you left your number with Tammy here, right?
I have it.
Okay. And we will go out there and we'll take a look at it as well with you. And we'll go from there.
That's before the next meeting.
Yeah. So that way
But when you go out and take a look, you want me there too?
Yes. Yep. So we will call you prior to that, and we'll set up a time to come meet with you.
Okay.
That works for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can have the water commission.
Yeah. If they're gonna do it, more power to them.
They're anxious to do it.
Oh, that just shocks me.
That's cool.
You must have some clout there.
I don't think so. I think they don't like tiling. I got that feeling because tiling is subsurface water, and that's really not supposed to be put in navigable waters, I guess. But your attorney would know that.
Yeah, it's definitely is legal.
It is.
Yeah. And to be real honest with you, most people don't understand this, but if you say, for instance, Weckerly's project, that's more than a section of ground in there. If that wasn't tiled, when you get some of these larger rains, you'd have a lot more water coming. Because when that ground gets tiled, it takes all the excess water out over a slow period of time. And then when you get these bigger rains, it's
like a sponge.
Yep, a sponge that is full holds no water, correct? Land that is tiled is like a sponge that's dry.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and so down in the, you probably don't know this name, Cindy Schreiberbeck. She was a representative out of, you know her?
Yeah, I know her well.
Okay. She was
aviation.
Yep. And she was a huge proponent of drainage. She thought the Red River Valley should all be tiled. That was kind of her feeling because she understood the benefit that gave, all that extra water that could be held on the surface or in the land instead of running off all the time. And unfortunately, she's gone now. But
yeah.
So anyway,
Larry, the point about navigable waters is brought up. I just wanted to pull up the USGS quad map.
Okay.
That shows this dotted blue line. It's solid a little bit here on the Weckerly property.
Mm-hmm.
Then it goes through the Souder property in the northeast corner.
Mm-hmm.
On the that is this dotted blue line is an intermittent stream, so would be considered by the DWR as a water course.
Yep.
And that Weckerly pumps right into that water course.
Mm-hmm.
It goes along the road ditch and then along the east side of Highway 3.
Mm-hmm. And another thing that tile pumps do is they give good quality water.
Problem on that whole area is there's so much vegetation and nothing cleaned out, in my opinion.
And you farm
I
right
think
there.
that's all of us, but that's not Westerly or Mertz's fault, in my opinion. It's a group effort. And I've always wondered, but it's a big project.
Mhm.
It's a big area.
So maybe someone should make a canal to get it into.
I'm not saying no, but I just don't know how to.
You know, if you don't got a haul car, you'd be shocked at how much dirt you can move with this scraper. I pulled into waterways that I've had to clean out and think, this is gonna take me 2 days, and 6 hours later, I'm done. I mean, it's just, if you don't got a haul car, scrapers can move a lot of dirt. Get that ground channeled, get it so that water can keep flowing through instead of spreading out and sitting there. It's just, people underestimate how much, and scrapers aren't expensive per se compared to anything else.
Well, you know, I've been a pilot for 68 years. I've flown all over this country. And I see drag lines cleaning out these same things all over everywhere. I look down to the drag lines that do it.
We've had so much rain, we've had so much wash off and sediment. We see it up here in these assessed drains. We're always out there. It's nobody's fault. It's just Mother Nature giving us too much rain and washing too much dirt in, and we gotta keep these drains cleaned out, or we run into it up here in Pheasant, or it's so flat where it'll just fill those drains up and the water just spreads out and everybody loses acreage. It's just the way it is, you know?
But once it gets beyond us, then there's a river.
Right. You get to Old 52 there, and kind of, that's when it gets better. It's
Yeah.
pretty.
Even west of that.
Yeah, even west of that though, it should be. It gets pretty. It's pretty. I mean, it's okay, but it starts getting fast, a lot thicker and flatter.
And you go out by
It's-
Walter Fairs in that area, the river gets to be really wide, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
because it's full of cattails and it just keeps.
It's probably worth noting if multiple people in this watershed agree that this is a waterway or a water course that needs cleaning out and probably will need regular cleaning out. You know, the state is cost sharing those at 65% right now if you turn it into an assessment drain.
Does it have to turn into a cess drain to do that?
We could use a snagging and clearing on, like the river channel, stuff like that, correct, Kale?
Yes, but what the cost share can pay for on that snagging and clearing is a little bit controversial. Like you have the authority as a water board to do maintenance of a water course. You can spend general funds on that, which you don't have. But the state will cost share snagging and clearing, but they won't cost share like removal of accumulated sediment and vegetation. That snagging and clearing cost sharing is limited to, like what it says, like literally snagging fallen trees and obstructions and pulling those out. They won't pay for the excavation of the vegetation and sediment.
Okay,
Can the local landowners just get together and do it on their own?
yeah, they can.
Certainly.
And that's actually the easiest. That's the easiest way. Okay. Are
I'm
you
done?
Yep, you're done.
So I'll wait for a call.
Yep. Yep.
But I think there's a possibility of that water commission doing that, draining that.
That'd be great if they did.
I know
Super.
there's federal programs that are doing that around the country, where they put a tree to keep the water, the sediment from going into the river.
Mhm.
So, but I'll find out.
Okay.
But right now, it's like, you can't do nothing.
Yeah.
And you think that's less than 80 acres at Merchant?
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
Mertz's
Yeah.
is.
Okay. Okay.
Alrighty, thank you.
guys go to work.
Thanks, Al.
Here you go.
See you later. Okay, back on schedule here.
Larry, do you wanna adopt a motion authorizing a site visit between now and the next meeting and then directing Tammy to invite the
Okay,
complainant and respondent to the next meeting?
okay. Somebody wanna make that motion? Okay, second? Chad seconded it. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Oh,
See you guys. Hey, wait for the call, thanks.
I'm cuter than him.
What's
I'm
that?
cuter than my dad.
Say hi to him.
Yeah, see, I look like my dad. I said I look like my mom, but that's
Okay, well, now we'll move into the conflict waiver. I need to sign that. We have to have a motion for that, right, Kale?
Yep.
Okay, is there a motion to, for me to sign the conflict waiver for the tile permit? Is there a second? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Now the tile permit.
So Thomas and I did review this one for completeness. Originally, the county had provided Ellingson with some old tax statements, but we did get the most current tax statements yesterday. So we were able to say it's complete and ready for approval today. I can put it on screen if people want to see where it's located. But I would say that the board for conditions should probably in this case do its standard conditions. But based on the discussion earlier today, if you want to add that condition that if there's erosion, downstream, we could start adding that as a standard condition on these tile pumps as well.
I think we need to do that.
Do you want to see a map on screen of where this one's located?
Just for the outlet is basically our concern. I don't believe it dumps into any of our drains, correct?
It does dump into that kind of break in the drain number one. There's that break. Isn't that where the cook easement was?
No, the cook easement is down by Sykeston. This is just south of town here.
Are we talking about the permit or the notification?
Okay, sorry. Yeah, we're talking about the tile permit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so this is in section 32 here is the pump for the outlet. And then that flow line says it'll go west in this road ditch. And then this is drain number one.
Right.
Has a break right here in this Fish and Wildlife Service property and then repicks up again downstream.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll flow into Fish and Wildlife Service and then continue downstream.
Yeah. Okay, and that's a private drain where they're dumping into, so, okay. Whether we need to attach that particular,
So all this land is assessed in the one?
yes.
Tammy confirmed that, yes.
Yep. Okay, I think we still put that that condition on there anyway, because it's not that far from our drain. That's probably
Yeah, and it does,
a couple hundred yards.
does use the road.
Yeah.
It does use the road ditch, right here.
Yep. I think it just needs to be standard procedure that that's what we do from now on. Would you guys agree? Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so we'll attach that. Let's see where. How come we don't have that page in this permit to attach those conditions? Or am I just not?
Do you have the application or the permit itself that Tammy compiled?
Okay, no, this is just the application, sorry. And we do have the permit as well? Okay, yeah, okay. But how come the conditions aren't on here?
The conditions should be on page 2.
Okay, alrighty, yeah. Okay, so we are going to attach, no, we always
So
do.
the
Go ahead, Kale.
Yeah, the recommended conditions would be number 2, installation and maintenance of proper erosion control at all outlets, which is standard. Number 3, reestablishment of disturbed areas to previous conditions, which is standard. We don't know of any rural water supply lines. The board has not typically done a requirement of control structures and shutting those off during flooding periods. But if you're concerned about that, you certainly could. We do typically do the permit amendments. Tammy's confirmed they're already assessed, and so then we're recommending also in this case adding the removal of silt and vegetation or repair erosion and scour damages.
Mm-hmm. I thought when the outlet control, I thought we were doing that on all these permits. Haven't we?
Let me pull up one and just confirm. I didn't think we were.
I think it's been a case by case, from my recollection.
Okay.
Let's see.
Larry, where is the outlet on that?
It's in the northwest corner of the southwest, or of the northwest quarter of that.
There on Hagelite land?
It actually outlets on Lambs.
Is this it
It's
here?
that red line, right?
Is it that line that runs through Ronnie Lamb's yard?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just pulled up, for example, like 2024-7, which is Elvishire. We didn't include it in that case. So I think Thomas is right that it's case by case.
But that one is not in an assessed drain though.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that we've been doing all the assessed drains because we have to, during flooding, those gates got to be closed as well.
You're right. We did include it on the Larry, on yours, 2024-8, the Ebel, Skifton, Bibelheimer one, because that was an assessed drain.
Yep. So I think that's anything in an assessed drain, I think we need to have that in there. Because in the 2019 flood, there were some people that were really screaming about that. Remember the festival hall meeting? But anyway, okay, so that'll be our setbacks. Installation and maintenance, erosion, reestablishment of disturbed areas, previous to conditions, outlet control, shut off, permit amendments, removal of silt and vegetation.
And the installation of control structures too goes with that outlet being shut off. And since it's a pump, they will already have that. But
Okay.
so 6 conditions total.
Right, this is Ronnie Lamb's yard.
Yep. Okay. Okay. Is there a motion to approve this tile permit? Tile permit.
With those conditions that you just talked about, it's what you have, shutting them off.
Yes. Yes. Yep. Yep. I think that's important in an assessed drain.
Yeah, no, I agree there.
Okay.
And then the outlet situation, are we adding something now to going forward?
We're going to do the removal of silt and vegetation thing. Yep. Yep.
And I approve this.
Okay.
Motion, everybody else does.
Chad has made the motion. Is there a second? Is there a second?
I ain't gonna second one that dumps water on me.
You're gonna stick it to Devin, huh?
I come up here too, come on, man. I can drink this stuff for sure.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
We're all so anxious. Okay. Any questions on it? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Yeah, this is the biggest project.
And, all the water is all drained out of here already prior to this, so it's basically just saturation water that's gonna come out.
This is the sponge theory that we just tried to sell.
That That's true.
I know.
So what are you worried about, Tom?
I did the
Around
pose
here,
it. Trying to get that sponge through the fireplace.
Too many holes.
Okay, then we have, let's see,
Bring notifications.
notifications, okay. All from the same one?
No, 2 are boxes and 1 is telephone.
I don't see the name on this one.
They don't put names on these.
I say, that's the second time we've run into that.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's Phillips.
Yeah, okay. Okay, well, there's nothing to act on there. So Tammy, you just put those in your file. You can have those back. Okay. And everybody leave their permits and stuff here. You know, for the one we just approved. That stays here. Okay.
Because the map's on public record.
What's that?
The map's on public record.
Right.
Took a mental copy.
Okay.
Cow pump erosion, we've dealt with that. Drone lease culvert. Davin, you're up.
Oh, am I?
Yes, you are.
I talked to you, boy, you go ahead.
I don't know.
I can't remember that.
I'm delegating you to do it.
Yeah, I know, thanks. So, there really isn't much we can do there, is there, Larry?
I know, it's not our
Township.
jurisdiction, all we can do is advise. That's all.
Yeah, it's just between them and the township, because the water, it's south of the farm he just bought right there, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then that flows through him and then out to his mother-in-law. Is that his mother-in-law?
Yep.
To the east.
That's correct. Yep.
So pretty much the only thing we can do is advise him to with the township.
Okay. Did he get permission from the township as well already?
That I do not know.
Okay.
Because that is, it is bad. I mean, those pictures you've seen, but
Mhm.
I told, I kind of told him, I said, we bring it up at the meeting, more or less, the only thing you can do is, it sounds like a township problem between you guys. The culvert, the culvert definitely is gonna have to be something done with it.
Mhm.
Because now that he farms and owns all that, and it goes through him, it's not such a big deal, because he's down there, I guess. I guess. The old,
Whole rice farm.
Flores farm? Yeah, got the feedlot and stuff on it, right on the south side, you can see all that water. And then there's a culvert that goes through in that drain, well, that culvert, I mean, it's, you can see all the sediment way out in there. He just wanted to make sure he's doing the proper steps. And that's why I'll bring it up, that's pretty much it's between you and the township, you guys can work it out.
Basically, just tell them that it's all right with us, pending the approval of the township.
Okay.
Okay,
That was easy.
we'll move on. Anything else as far as new business? Kale or Thomas, you guys have anything?
Nothing for me.
Okay.
Nothing here.
As far as that assessed drain or possibility of that assessed drain down that Sykeston area, Thomas is just waiting back from them guys to approve the contract. And I guess I'd be surprised if they don't move forward with it.
No.
But,
Really? Good job.
so,
We're a dozen times on this, we're still, they pretty much threw it in our laps, didn't they?
yeah, more or less. More or less. And they're in favor of it too, because it affects their roads in that county, more so than it does in Wells County.
Yeah, it does.
And if they lose the outlet that is currently there, that's 50 plus years old, there will end up being, what did you say, Thomas? Water would have to go up another 6 feet to outlet out of there?
Something close to that, yes. I can't remember the exact number, but yes, close to that.
It's a lot before it would naturally run back out of there again.
That would take that church out by then, wouldn't it?
It would take the church out, the highway would be underwater. Yep.
That's already.
I think the church was okay.
Was it?
It was just above. I think the church was just above the outlet.
Okay.
But yeah, the road would be, I guess the infrastructure that would be impacted.
Do you know, is Michael keeping the Stutsman County Water Board up to date on this stuff too, or not?
I would have to touch base with him on that,
Okay,
just to see what his communication is with Stutsman County.
okay. when you find that out, let me know, because I told Joel that we would, keep him posted on what's progressing with this down there.
Good.
Alrighty, now the fun part, bill paying time. Apex Engineering, somebody want to make a motion for that?
I'll move.
Second?
Yeah.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Rinke-Noonan's bill.
Yeah.
Second? Second?
Boy, they just leave you hanging, Kale.
It's good to make your attorney sweat at least once a meeting.
Every month he makes them sweat. Okay, last call for a second.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Dakota Public Control, annual cell service. Motion for that one.
I'll make the motion.
All in favor, yeah. Second, please.
Yeah.
Alrighty, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Minnesota Valley.
I'll move.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. And the Sykeston Park Board is just a pass through, so we don't need a motion on that. Kale, do you want to just kind of talk about what the meeting you and I and Jack Dwyer had the other day? That's something we need to talk about.
Sure, and that's on old business, the 55th Avenue Northeast crossing. So Larry and I met with Jack Dwyer and reviewed Judge Hovey's district court decision. No surprises there. I think Jack was equally frustrated by the dicta in that opinion, going further than we felt it needed to, and not getting what we feel was the law correct on jurisdiction between road authorities and water resource districts over culverts. So Jack agreed to bring this up at the July summer meeting with the association board. He was going to deliver to them a quote from his firm and potentially one or more other quotes from firms that could, on behalf of the association, write an amicus brief and file it with the court, saying that getting this question right about water management on culverts impacting assessment drains is of statewide importance for water resource districts. So we'll know July 9th or 10th. Let Brian Schmidt know that timeline so he can strategically address filing the notice of appeal to make sure that if the association is going to weigh in and submit some advice and brief to the Supreme Court, that they've got plenty of time to do that.
Okay, and then Brian would be representing us at the Supreme Court as well. You want to talk about that, Cal?
Yeah, you bet. So, Brian is the attorney of record for the district. And so unless you decide to terminate that relationship and hire someone new, which I'm not recommending you do, that is he's currently working on this appeal going forward. I think that, Brian quoted a very good price for the district, especially since now the district is paying out of pocket, there's no insurance coverage. Alex and I both think that Brian is very qualified. I think he's got a home state advantage being a North Dakota attorney. He's appeared in front of the Supreme Court numerous times before on behalf of government. And so I think he's got a leg up in that regard. Although I very much appreciate the board's vote of confidence in me and the firm, I do think in this instance it is a smart strategic move to stick with Brian in front of the Supreme Court. I know he wants our opinion on his brief writing, and we're more than happy to do that. We'll keep our costs as minimal as we can, so you're not double paying for attorneys. But I think, both economically and strategically, sticking with Brian is my recommendation for the district on that appeal.
Anybody have any questions regarding that stuff? Okay, that pretty much concludes our meeting, unless somebody else has anything.
If I could ask this, did the meeting with the commissioners go okay?
For the most part, they totally understood why we're doing what we're doing with, even Brian Love understood why we are, appealing this. He agrees with that. Since Judge Hovey got it wrong. The part that, was kind of disappointing is when we, asked the questions about, why, Brian, basically why you so against the water board is kind of where we ended up going to. And then he brought this up about, me not answering my phone when people call. And, he agreed to give a list of names of people, names and phone numbers to us, so I can contact these people.
These are people that tried to get a hold of you.
Yeah, and that are claiming that I don't answer my phone or whatever. And Tammy was so nice to give him a little letter and to make a list on it. And she was told that he would have to go home and look through his phone because he can't remember. In other words, they don't exist.
And then send it to me and I have.
Yep. And I've asked, I asked him again. I did bring up the deal with, he's been against us since he's been, got on as a commissioner. And I brought up that meeting, 4 years ago that, he sat over there and criticized us for the job, and we did, and we responded to him at the next commissioner meeting, with a formal written complaint. And he said he was going to come to our next meeting. Well, we've had 50. Well, this is 51st regular meeting that we've had since that's happened, and he still hasn't made it. And he never will, as far as I can really doubt it.
As far as 55th, the commissioners are okay on this.
Yeah, they totally understand why. They were shocked too that the ruling that we ended up with. So anyway. Okay, with that, I guess I will call for a motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
Second.
We haven't got it yet.
No, come guys.
Meeting adjourned. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, board.